This video will show you how to winterize a Thor Tellaro 20AT using the winterization port and RV antifreeze. The same steps apply to the other models, it's just that all the valves will be in different spots. These are the things that you're going to need to winterize. You're going to need a couple of gallons of RV antifreeze, the water filter wrench. We're going to bypass the water filter using this half-inch female to female pipe you can get at a hardware store. And this is a bicycle fitting, valve fitting to hose. You'll be using this to clear out the city fill line. And then this is a half-inch male connector to 2-foot length of hose that you're going to end up putting in the antifreeze bottle. The first thing you want to do is drain your gray water tank, service the cassette toilet, and the next step is to drain the fresh water tank. In the 20AT and 20A is located aft on the driver's side, and there's a quarter turn ball valve. I'm just going to go ahead and turn that valve to drain the tank. So the next thing you're going to want to do is open the low point drains. In the A, they're in front here. Later models, they may be inside. After you've done that, go into the van and open up all of the cold and hot water faucets. After you've opened all the faucets and the low point drains, just turn on the water pump for a couple of minutes to pump water out of the system. After the water pump's on, you're going to see more water come out of the low point drains. Leave it run for a couple of minutes until water stops coming out of the low point drains. After all the water stopped coming out of low point drains, you can turn off the water pump and close the low point drains. They're quarter turn valves. After you're done doing that, go to the back of the van and close the ball valve in the fresh water tank in the back. So the next thing you're going to want to do is clear out the city fill with any water by just using a regular bicycle pump and the bicycle pump to garden hose fitting that you have. And if you just press gently, you can hear all the water being expressed out of the line. Just pump it a couple times and you're done. So the next step is probably causes the most confusion, and that's bypassing the truma and draining the truma. So I'll show you how to do that. In the 20AT, the truma is behind the jump seat. It's located in various places in the other models. You just have to find it. Some of the valves may be hidden behind hoses, behind panels, so you kind of have to feel around to find them. There are 5 valves that we're going to exercise during this process. The first thing we're going to do is find the valve from the fresh water tank, and we're going to close it. That's this blue one right here, and you can find it by going between the water pump and the valve here, and it's going to be somewhere in that line. The next step is we need to find the cold water inlet valve to the truma. In my case, it's actually located behind this panel here, and you can't really see it, but it's there, and I'm going to close that. There, that one's closed. It's located behind this wooden panel where the water pump lives. The valve for the hot water outlet is behind this black output hose, so we're going to turn that closed. And closed is the handle perpendicular to the line. Then we're going to turn the bypass valve, this valve, between the red and blue lines open. Finally, we're going to drain all the water in the truma by finding its drain valve, which is a brass valve with the yellow handle. It's right here, and we're just gonna operate that handle so that it's parallel with the valve body. And you should hear water now coming out of the truma, and it just drains through the floor. So the next thing to do is service the water filter. You can use your wrench to take off the housing here and take out the filter. You should always store the filter somewhere where it doesn't freeze. Or you can take the filter assembly out completely and bypass the filter, which uses a lot less RV antifreeze. So that's what we're going to do. There's 2 connectors here that connect the water filter. We're just going to loosen those. We've already got a towel on the bottom of the van to catch any drips, and we're just going to make sure that that's totally free, and this one is totally free, and the filter just sits on a couple of screws and lifts right out. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to use our 1/2-inch adapter hose to bypass the filter. So it filters out. I'm just going to set it down over here and then connect this adapter hose between the two lines, and we'll have bypassed the water filter. So at this point, after you've done this, you need to take the water filter housing apart with the wrench if you so desire, and then drain it, dry out the filter, and store the filter somewhere where it's not going to freeze. This is where your water filter wrench comes in handy. Just hold the water filter against the ground or a hard object, turn that enough to loosen it, then the housing unscrews. You can take the filter out, dry the filter off, and empty the housing. So now while the trim is draining, close all the valves, the faucet valves that you've opened. So the one in the kitchen, the ones in the bathroom, make sure that they're all closed. The low point drains are closed. So once all the low point drains and all the faucets are closed, we're going to put our siphon hose in the winterization port. So you just take out this little white male plug and screw in the male fitting on the end of this hose. A little tricky. Once all the low point drains and faucets are closed, take out this male cap, put in your hose, and tighten the fitting. It doesn't have to be super tight, just finger tight. Put the hose in the end of a bottle of the end of the hose in the bottom of the bottle of the antifreeze. And we're going to turn on the water pump. And you can see it's pulling fluid into it. So with the water pump on, we're going to open the sink hot, and we're going to watch it until antifreeze flows out of it. And it should be flowing pretty solid and pretty pink. Once the hot is running pink, do the same thing for the cold. I start with the sink because it's farthest away from the pump. All right, we're getting pink. We're going to do the same for all the other hoses. That one's pink, switch to cold, pink. Take the shower wand, a little hard to see, but that's pink. And cold, that's pink. Go ahead and dump. And finally, make sure that you clear out the lines from the toilet and make sure they're running pink. Okay, so next you want to make sure the low point drains are clear and running pink. There's one, there's two. So the last step is to close the Truma drain, which you'd previously opened. It's right in here. lever perpendicular to the body of the valve. And then remove your antifreeze port, and you're done. Put in a plastic cap again, and you've winterized your system. Stop. So the next step is to empty the gray water tank. You've put a bunch of water and antifreeze in there. We really don't know the mixture, so it's best just to drain it, and then with what you have left of your antifreeze, pour it down the sink and shower drains. Well, now you're done winterizing the water system of your Thor B van, and there are a few other things to consider. Make sure that your cassette toilet is serviced if you've got an A model, and that you go through the van and take out any liquids that might freeze over winter. Thanks.